Good evening. The government's new National Social Housing Program, NSHP, has received another boost with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding MOU between the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation and ARC Properties Limited, following a call earlier this year by Prime Minister Andrew Holness for more private sector aid. ARC Properties came forward to pledge its assistance. The Prime Minister lauded ARC Properties for being the forerunners, leading the private sector companies in assisting with the social needs of citizens.
In February of this year, whilst handing out, inappropriate term, whilst handing over the keys to a social housing unit, I believe it was in northeast St. Andrew, eastern St. Andrew. I believe it is in both constituencies I made the call for private sector to come on board and assist, because the magnitude and scale of the problem would be far greater than the resources of government to bring it to heel in a short period of time. And we're very happy to see ARC Properties coming on board. I'm almost overcome with emotion to see the call being answered. So, Ashley, again, let me say thanks to you for your good corporate citizenship, and I hope the others feel badly about it. But you are the pioneer in this area, and I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased. And it does speak well for Jamaica. The truth is that our private sector, our civil society, has been very active in treating with social issues.
He assured the private sector that the program will be transparent and will not be tainted with incidents of corruption.
I listened carefully to the PSOJ president, who said, we have tried this before and there have been missteps. Well, Mr. President, there is no misstep in this one. You will never hear any complaints about improper procurement, any form of corruption, any misdirection of resources or favoritism. You're not going to hear that about this program. We have built in every protection to make sure that the program is integrous and that there is, people can have faith in the program. And once they can have faith in the program, then it builds hope. I have said to the social housing team that it is not my intention to do 1-1. I think we can now do 10-10. So we did 6. We did 6 last week. So I've said last week Friday. So I've said to them, I'm going to be off the island for a few days. So I won't be able to do any of this. But the next time that we're handing over, we want to do about 10. And so it's little by little, 10 by 10, 20 by 20, and we chip away at that 10,000. But we really now, we need to get to the stage where we are doing 1,000 or 2,000 a year. Right? Because if you think about it, it would take a decade to remove that kind of shelter from our society. But let's start. Let's get it done. Let's look at the glass as being filling up rather than looking at the glass as being empty.
Managing Director of ARC Manufacturing, Ashley Ann Horn, says she's pleased to be contributing to the upliftment of Jamaicans.
Despite this long-standing vow of commercial silence, quietude, and humility, we believe that an occasion such as this requires not only ARC Properties' robust commitment to the nation, but also our robust presence to encourage our colleagues and friends to stand with us and to support the social housing program of the Prime Minister. It was his concept, and to stand with the nation as we strive to build a better Jamaica for everybody. But we also have a patriotic duty to the country to ensure that purpose and community upliftment are always at the heart of our business operations. This fervent belief has been woven into the tapestry of our properties by its chairman, Mr. Norman Horn, who constantly reminds us every day that due to the emotional, physical, and financial violence of colonialism, to this day, over 90% of us as Jamaicans have no financial or social equity in the country's natural or capital assets. And we have to change that. We have to do what we can to change that. So this reality is the sole reason why we're here today. It's the sole reason why we're the first to answer the Most Honorable Prime Minister's call to the private sector to stand up with him. We are going to partner with regard to this initiative proudly, and we will do what we can to increase the construction of housing for the most vulnerable in our society under this new social housing program.
According to the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Audrey Sewell, the National Housing Trust, NHT, has also pledged $500 million towards the social housing program. Last Friday, the government handed over the keys to 6 housing units in St. Anne, and so far the government has built 89 units. The government is aiming to have 365 units completed this year. In the meantime, President of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, has commended the government on the steps being taken to fulfill their housing promise to the country.
But as we upskill, because I trust that we're going to upskill and train our workforce, we're going to require housing solutions. The existing gap is significant, and that continues to grow on an annual basis. We take note of the Prime Minister of your announcements last year of building out 70,000 affordable low-income solutions over the next 4 years, which is quite ambitious, but should go a long way in closing the gap. We commend the GOG on the development of this new social housing program, as there have been many stops and starts over the last 5 decades. We have had missteps along the way under both administrations. So this is definitely a step in the right direction. I believe private sector entities ought to support this program, because when we alleviate the inequities through providing adequate housing solutions to our citizens, this will foster equitable and inclusive growth of our economy. Supporting an initiative like this aligns greatly with our members, especially in the real estate and construction industries. However, I'd like to encourage other entities to consider their support as we uplift the most vulnerable members of our society and improve the standard of the current housing stock.
In other news tonight, Southern Cross Boulevard in the Freeport area of Montego Bay, St. James, has been renamed Anthony Hart Boulevard in honor of the late businessman and humanitarian. Prime Minister Andrew Holness attended the road renaming ceremony held on the weekend. He hailed Mr. Hart as a visionary who was instrumental in the development of the Montego Bay Freeport in the late 1960s. Today, the Freeport is a central business hub in the city, hosting a deepwater pier, industrial hub, and free zone.
The seamless integration of commercial, maritime, residential, hospitality, and pleasure activities along the boulevard, that is the Anthony Hart Boulevard. You prefer Tony. That's what you have on the sign. The Tony Hart Boulevard. He insisted. Very good. Well, the Tony Hart Boulevard. The seamless integration of commercial, maritime, residential, hospitality, and pleasure activities along the boulevard reflects the multifaceted nature of the man who conceived of reclaiming the lands to construct the peninsula and the deepwater port. The dynamic nature of the development, the graceful evolution, and the continued transformation of the area would be what Tony envisioned when he created the free port. So the tree that he planted will grow and will bear many fruits for us to continue to benefit and for our sustenance.
He noted that the businessman who died on August 20, 2020 was a big thinker whose vision for local economic growth was inclusive and charted pathways to a bright future. Mr. Holness also had this to say.
In his later years, from my research, during an interview he had with Shalman Scott, former mayor, he would have intimated that he would have liked to see 3 things happen in Jamaica. Of course, 3 amongst a long list, but 3 he pointed out. One would be the southbound bypass road from Montego Bay. And I suspect when he said the southbound, he would be meaning the Long Hill bypass, which we are doing now along with the perimeter road. So that is happening. And I know you would be smiling that this is being done. And not just, being talked about, it has started. The second would be the irrigation of the plains of St. Elizabeth, what was mentioned by Jason. And that is ongoing. It has taken much longer than I anticipated. And I have had very strong words with the Member of Parliament. It's not his fault. But I expect him to pass on those strong words to those who are executing the project. And then he said the beautification of the main highways with flowering trees. And that is in the works. I can't say that we would have fulfilled everything that Tony would have wished for, but we're working on it. And we are glad to be living in Tony's vision.
For his part, Mayor of Montego Bay and Chairman of the St. James Municipal Corporation, Councillor Leroy Williams, said that Anthony Hart is synonymous with the development of the infrastructure and business landscape of Montego Bay and wider Jamaica. Still tonight, the Westmoreland police arrested 2 men and a woman following the seizure of an illegal firearm and 14 rounds of ammunition during an operation in Big Bridge, Westmoreland yesterday. Reports from the Savannah Lamar Police coming into our news center tonight are that at about 11 a.m., law enforcement officers were in the area when a premises occupied by the suspects was searched. During the search, a Smith & Wesson pistol along with the ammunition was found inside a room. They were subsequently taken into custody. Their identities are being withheld pending further investigations. As we continue with the news tonight, a team of officers assigned to the Clarendon Police Division arrested a man in relation to the seizure of an illegal firearm during an operation at Canaan Heights in the parish yesterday. Reports from the Maypen Police are that at about 2:45 p.m., law enforcement officers were in the area when they saw a man whose actions aroused their suspicions. He was accosted, searched, and investigations led officers to the man's home where a Lawson .25 pistol was found inside a jacket in a room. He was taken into custody in relation to this seizure. However, his identity is being withheld pending further investigations. Continuing with the news tonight. The Legal Aid Council assisted 1,524 clients through duty counsel services and legal representation in 2021. Additionally, representation was provided for 59 mentally ill persons who were held on remand and deemed unfit to plea or held in adult correctional facilities at the Governor General's or the court's pleasure. As reported in the Economic and Social Survey Jamaica 2021, a total of 748 beneficiaries were assisted through the services of the Mobile Justice Unit that employed a blended approach of face-to-face and virtual consultations. The document outlined that visits were made to 30 communities in which legal services were provided to 289 beneficiaries, while 441 virtual consultations were conducted. Meanwhile, the Criminal, Civil and Family Law Unit processed 1,130 expungement applications with 847 male applicants. Of this total, 769 applications, of which 549 were male applicants, were approved by the Criminal Records Rehabilitation of Offenders Board, which represented a 95.7% increase in approvals compared with 2020. Further to this, the unit processed 6,752 applications for ministers' marriage licenses, of which 4,097 were from walk-in clients, while 2,655 were submitted by hotels. This reflected an increase of 2.9% compared with 2020. We turn our attention now to tonight's COVID-19 update, where the Ministry of Health and Wellness reported 44 new COVID-19 cases and 2 deaths yesterday, increasing the infection total now to 148,996. The new cases comprise 27 females and 17 males, ranging in age from 1 to 92 years. In tonight's COVID-19 parish breakdown, St. James recorded 17 cases, Kingston and St. Andrew recorded 14 cases, Westmoreland and Trelawney recorded 4 cases each, St. Catherine and Clarendon recorded 2 cases each, while Manchester recorded 1 case. 2 deaths were recorded for the period. These include a 62-year-old male from St. Mary and a 78-year-old female from St. Mary also. There were 108 recoveries in the last 24 hours, bringing the total of recovered persons to 95,883. 118 persons are currently hospitalized, 21 of whom are moderately ill, 6 severely ill, and 1 person is in critical condition. And those are the stories making news. I am Shellyan Hill. Stay safe, pleasant viewing, and thanks for watching.